Um, our top story of tonight. People magazine reports that Taylor Swift and Matty Healy were never boyfriend-girlfriend. They were never boyfriend-girlfriend or exclusive and were always just having fun, having a fucking laugh. There it is, exclusive to People magazine. Nothing complicated happened here, a source says of Swift and the 1975 frontman split. Taylor Swift is back in her single era. The 12-time Grammy winner, 33, and the 1975 frontman Matty Healy, 34, have split after a whirlwind romance. She had fun with him, but it was always casual, a source confirmed to People on Monday. They are no longer romantically involved. They were never boyfriend-girlfriend or exclusive, and were always just having fun, another insider tells People. There is no drama, and who knows what could happen again. It was a good time and ran its course. Reps for Swift and Healy's band 1975 haven't responded to People's request for comment. Longtime friends since 2014, Swift and Healy were linked in early May, a few weeks after the news broke that she and actor Joe Alwyn had parted ways after 6 years together. The anti-hero singer has been on her record-breaking Eras tour since April, and Healy was in attendance for all 6 of Swift's concerts in Nashville and Philadelphia, where he was spotted with Swift's dad, Scott. When they weren't on the road, Swift and Healy spent time together in New York City, from hanging out with friends at the Electric Lady recording studio to sharing a kiss at members-only club Zero Bond. Taylor's doing great. Her focus right now is her tour. Since Matty is touring too, they won't be able to see each other at all, the source says People of Swift and Healy, who is touring internationally through July before the 1975 come back to the States for some festival dates. They have been friends for years and decided to just go back to being friends. Nothing complicated happened. It's just life. A third source adds, how many fucking sources does People magazine have for this, by the way? Like, they sourced this out the wazoo. If it were up to the People's magazine, if, like, they could have figured out the Ukrainian dam collapse. You know what I mean? Made up sources. If you think this isn't Taylor's team, I don't know what to tell you. I could totally see this being Taylor's team, just, like, cooling, you know. I think this is 100% Taylor Swift's own team, who saw the insane amounts of fucking backlash that she was getting for choosing to, in her adult life, date another adult man, okay, and recognize that, like, that was becoming too complicated for the Eras tour and revenue streams, and decided to leak this to the press. A third source says Taylor and Matty still care for one another, but they're in the middle of world tours, so are both incredibly busy. They've been friends for years and are still friends. Despite receiving backlash over past comments Healy has made, Swift was not swayed by the controversy. He likes to provoke a response out of people. She's a grown woman, more than capable of forming her own opinions about people, the insider adds. No one forces her into anything, especially not these days. She's on top of the world. Indeed, Swift has reached new career heights. She just announced the first international dates for her Eras tour. She's back on top of the Billboard 200 chart with Midnight's The Till Dawn edition, which features 3 new tracks, including a Karma remix featuring Ice Spice, and she'll drop a Speak Now Taylor's version re-release, complete with Fall Out Boy and Hayley Williams collaborations, next month. Breaking news, Taylor Swift has been spotted with Adam Friedland. Follow for more pop culture news. She was reportedly singing very emotionally on some songs. She was visibly enraged during her show Saturday. He said a while back it would be emasculating to date her. Let her date who she wants, but fuck Matty Healy. See, this is our Swiftie correspondent. Joining us now is Prez146, a Swiftie parasocialist. Taylor was also spotted with a prominent Falun Gong supporter. No, not racial Jake. A Chinese broadcaster's misspelling of racial Jake's name has led many Swifties to believe that Taylor is gay. Jake, through his lawyer, has refused to comment. Why didn't you just retweet the tweet? This is such like specific Twitter drama. Anyway, we covered the Brad Trammell shit. It was crazy. Oh, breaking news: PGA Tour agrees to merge with Saudi-backed rival Live Golf. Every single professional golfer right now is true. So no more Maddie on the podcast. I don't give a fuck. I would love to have Maddie Healy on the podcast still. Oh, man. Love the Saudis. Very nice. All right, let's get to Tucker Carlson, a face that has been a prominent fixture on this broadcast, has now, once again, reared his ugly face. I don't know. Fuck. All right, this is episode 1, titled Ep 1. That's it. Oh, God, this is going to be so good. Tucker Carlson went from being the most popular news broadcaster in the country and an incredibly important asset to the growing American fascist movement to literally broadcasting 10-minute videos on Twitter. Tucker Carlson officially went from the guy who was at the top of the leaderboard to someone who has less prominence than me, okay? Someone who's doing something that is even a lower budget production than your favorite Twitch streamer, Hasanabi Piker, okay? Like, Twitter is probably one of the lower ends of posting. That's precisely the reason why some of the, best Twitter posters, quote unquote, will oftentimes try to turn those Twitter posts into like Ko-Fi subscriptions, Substack subscriptions, or even in the unique case, Twitch streaming, right? Or podcasts, as a matter of fact. And that's why it's not just like a little downgrade. It's like a major downgrade, okay? It's multiple layers down. The broadcast in and of itself is always going to be hard to pull off, logistically speaking, because Twitter is notoriously awful at like video on their platform. So that's where Tucker Carlson's at. I just need you to understand that real quick before we watch this video.
Somebody blew up the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine. The rushing wall of water wiped out entire villages, destroyed a critical hydropower plant, and as of tonight puts the largest nuclear reactor in Europe in danger of melting down. So if this was intentional, it was not a military tactic, it was an act of terrorism. The question is, who did it? Well, let's see. The Kakhovka Dam was effectively Russian. It was built by the Russian government. It currently sits in Russian-controlled territory. The dam's reservoir supplies water to Crimea, which has been, for the last 240 years, home of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Blowing up the dam may be bad for Ukraine, but it hurts Russia more. And for precisely that reason, the Ukrainian government has considered destroying it. In December, the Washington Post quoted a Ukrainian general saying his men had fired American-made rockets.
I'm so glad Tucker Carlson is back to talk about riveting political commentary. What a wonderful utilization for the first episode. Like, who is this for, my man? Like, what do you think? Is he going to get a fucking RT slot? Like, what's happening?
At the dam's floodgate as a test strike. So really, once the facts start coming in, it becomes much less of a mystery what might have happened to the dam. Any fair person would conclude that the Ukrainians probably blew it up, just as you would assume they blew up Nord Stream, the Russian natural gas pipeline, last fall. And in fact, the Ukrainians did do that, as we now know. It's not like Vladimir Putin is anxious to wage war on himself. Oh, but that's...
I can't think of anything that's like less relevant to like the American domestic market's interest than fucking woke beer until now. Okay? I covered this entire thing for hours today because, you know, I'm filling 8 fucking hours of content, and there's a lot of weird nerds in this community that love when I talk about this shit. But when you're Tucker Carlson, like, I don't understand why your comeback stream or your comeback 10-minute video is almost exclusively on a story that is like interesting for what? Like some of the most relentless fucking nerds. Either they're the NATO nerds, love NATO, and you know, they're prominent on Twitter, or they're the Russia has done nothing wrong. They're actually killing all the Nazis and also simultaneously defending themselves from Western moral decay. Like, these guys are fucking extremely online and also completely insane, okay? Like, on both sides. I don't really understand why he's, why he's covering the story at all. He could have literally, or the caring about Ukrainian life. Yeah, that too, totally. I assume you fall under the category of, like, I'm following the most Reddit war I possibly can category. So what's the difference? He gets views either way. What are you doing with your views? Is there an ideological purpose for why Tucker Carlson cuts commentary in the way that he does? Certainly. I think there's definitely that. He is a WASP nationalist. Okay. So it could have been about that. You criticize Andrew Tate when he criticized the BBC journalist? He didn't criticize the BBC journalist. He cried about the BBC journalist asking him questions about, like, why he wrote certain things, and then he lied and said he didn't write them. What is this? How is this relevant in any way, shape, or form to what we're talking about right now?
That's where you're wrong, Mr. and Mrs. Cable News consumer. Vladimir Putin is exactly that sort of man, the sort of man who'd shoot himself to death in order to annoy you. We know this from the American media, which wasted no time this morning in accusing the Russians of sabotaging their own infrastructure.
I guess this is like for him to come across as like even-keeled to a broader audience. I don't know.
Bill Kristol, the man who once told us that Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11, immediately denounced Putin as a war criminal and even more savagely compared him to Donald Trump. The rest of the pundit class made similar, clearly coordinated noises. Putin did it! Putin did it! And their reasoning was simple. Putin is evil, and evil people do evil things purely.
It's so funny, like, the anti-war right is, like, not a real constituency and, like, is not even actually anti-war, okay? The anti-war right is never anti-war. They're anti-this war. They're anti-unproductive wars, right? That means that there's still productive wars that they're on board with. So just never forget that. And ultimately, the military-industrial complex basically runs the show in this goddamn country. Okay, that's why, you know, year over year, the discretionary funds given to the military continues to increase. That's why even when we had this debt ceiling conversation, which was totally fucking made up to begin with and never should have happened, neither party even touched the discretionary spending and actually were perfectly on board with increasing it. So when you consider all of that, and then you come to the conclusion, or rather the recognition that, no Republican person or president or politician is ever going to actually be legitimately anti-war, and Democrats certainly are also no longer anti-war. They don't even claim to be anti-war like they used to back in the day, at least. You realize that, like, you're talking to no one. I guess you're not going to make any changes in the way that, like, American politics works. Maybe you're talking to a broader audience, I guess, of people who are like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? But you're not necessarily doing anything that is going to change policy in the way that you had the capacity to do so when you were Tucker Carlson on Fox News.
For the dark joy of being evil. In this specific case, Putin attacked himself, which is the most evil thing you can do, and therefore perfectly in character for a man that evil. That was their explanation. No one who's paid to cover these things seemed to entertain even the possibility it could have been the Ukrainians who did it. No chance of that. Ukraine, as you may have heard, is led by a man called Zelensky. And we can say for a dead certain fact that he was not involved. He couldn't have been. Zelensky is too decent for terrorism. Now, you see him on television, and it's true you might form a different impression. Sweaty and rat-like, a comedian turned oligarch, a persecutor of Christians, a friend of BlackRock. But don't
Damn, he's reading fucking Zil Disney to filth, though.
believe your own eyes. Actually, Mr. Zelensky is a very good man. The best, really. As George W. Bush once noted, he is our generation's Winston Churchill. Of all the people in the world, our shifty, dead-eyed Ukrainian friend in the tracksuit is uniquely incapable of blowing up a dam. He's literally a living saint, a man in whom there is no sin. That's why Lindsey Graham is so attracted to him. They're just two good people, hanging out together and being good. And like all good people, when they meet in person...
Like, let's say Donald Trump wins tomorrow, okay? And he's the president. And he keeps giving literally all of the same exact weapons to Ukraine while simultaneously claiming that he's not, or whatever the fuck, right? In the media. But he absolutely continues to do so. What's Tucker going to do? Is he going to be like, wow, Donald Trump claimed that he was no longer going to arm the Ukrainian movement. He said that this war needed to come to an end. It seems like he's reneged on that promise. Like, no, you're not going to fucking say that. You're just going to move on to some other shit. You're going to go back to talking about sexy-ass M&Ms and how you want to fuck them. Call the Jewish man shifty. He's going full Rush Limbaugh. I think a lot of the times when he says stuff like that, he also called him a rat. A lot of times when Tucker Carlson says stuff like that, it's not necessarily to like dog whistle specifically to like the 8 Nazis that are going to be like, yeah, I don't like Zelensky because he's Jewish. It's more so that liberals will pick it up and then they will make a news story out of it. And then you can galvanize your base. I think he's doing that deliberately, baiting people to like cover it and say, look how Tucker Carlson is anti-Semitic, so that he can turn around, which, by the way, I think he is, for the record. I do think Tucker Carlson is anti-Semitic. I mean, he's a fucking fascist. But I do think he's baiting people to cover it and have like the ADL, which is an unpopular organization in general outside of like liberal circles, to literally fucking go and say, whoa, what the fuck? Why are you doing this? Just so that he can get more prominence. It's reaction baiting. You know what I mean?
Person, they spend a lot of time talking about killing people and laughing like friends do. Here's the pair last week.
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying.
It's the best money we've ever spent.
Thank you so much.
No, it's...
The Russians are dying. It's the best money we've ever spent, Graham says. A smile spreads across his thin, quivering lips as he forms the words. He looks like a starving man contemplating a breakfast buffet. The aroma of death has aroused Lindsey Graham. Thanks so much, replies Zelensky. He feels the same way.
Like, this would have fucking banged on Fox News. Lindsey Graham's team would be calling Tucker to be like, we need to come back on the 7 p.m. slot immediately, 9 p.m. slot, whichever slot he was on. And now it's on Twitter. I don't think that this is actually going to hit in the actual taste markets that it would normally hit if it was on Fox News, which is like all the donors, you know, the rich people who all happen to be over the age of 65, and just in general, like, yeah, the taste clusters, exactly. That's who they fucking care about. These politicians, I mean.
Way. See, there's nothing dark here. Just two middle-aged guys celebrating the killing of a population. They don't seem like the kind of people who'd enjoy flooding villages or starting a famine. And in any
Wait, what?
Thanks so much, replies Zelensky. He feels the same way. See, there's nothing dark here. Just two middle-aged guys celebrating the killing of a population. They don't seem like the kind of people who'd enjoy flooding villages or starting a famine. And in any case, who cares if they are? It's really not your business. Your job is to support Ukraine.
Son, does your dad watch Fox News? I know you said he's a neolib. Brother, my father refuses to speak English, even though he wrote his doctorate in the language. Okay? Like, he has full capabilities of speaking English, refuses to do so. Even if it is to communicate to, like, other American people that are holding the treats captive. You know what I mean? Like, treats that he wants in his tummy. Like, he will go to a pastry store and refuse to communicate in English the pastries that he wants to purchase and consume. It's insane. He'll just, like, point to it and go, 2. It's ridiculous. Ülkücü mü ama yok lan, ne ülkücüsü, hiç alakası bile yok.
Watch Nikki Haley, a Republican candidate for president, explain this principle on CNN.
A win for Ukraine is a win for all of us. And for them to sit there and say...
Why, though? I still don't know. I literally don't know. We joke about it all the time. But, like, he just won't do it. It's very funny. And very odd. And we literally don't know why he does it.
This is a territorial dispute. That's just not the case. To say that we should stay neutral, it is in the best interest of America. It's in the best interest of our national security for Ukraine to win. We have to see this through. We have to finish it.
See? It's very...
Anytime I see dudes like this take this stance, I legitimately, like, I kind of find myself considering the Blue and On commentary on matters such as this one, where they're like, clearly they're doing this because they're in the pocket of Russia, you know, that kind of thing. Like, because it doesn't really make any sense. It literally does not make any sense. It doesn't make sense for Trump to be like, "Oh, I'm anti-war." I guess, like, maybe there's an audience for it. You know what I mean? You look like you can personally point to war as a product of, like, the American liberal wing, and that you don't want it. I guess there's that. A lot of Republican commentary is anti-Ukraine, but it's weird how openly pro-Russia this is. Yeah, like, I get the anti-Ukraine stuff because, like, it is seen as, like, a liberal cause. It is also seen as, like, you know, a money suck. You know what I mean? It's like untapped, unfettered spending, unrestricted spending. And they're like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? By the way, they don't give a fuck about, obviously, restricting the spending. They just, like I said, use it as a talking point to, like, make it seem like they care and that we should be helping Americans or whatever, when in fact they don't care about that. I don't know. I genuinely don't know how or why he is so hyper fucking pro-Russia. Like, I literally don't get it. Because, like, I'm very critical of Ukraine, and people get very mad at me for being critical of Ukraine. Like, the New York Times article that came out recently was fucking insane and basically, like, frustrated me endlessly. But, you know, I'm more critical of Russia because they're definitely the ones who are objectively in the wrong here. So I don't really know. I don't really know why he's, like, so aggro on board with Russia.
Very easy to understand.
It's very simple. Russia is an ethno-state. What? Are you insane? Did you just say Russia is an ethno-state? Russia has, like, an like an African continent worth of diversity. What the fuck? It's quite literally one of the most diverse nation states on the planet. Why did you just say yes? What? Interesting. Brother, have you never seen like the USSR docket where it like will show you all the different types of Russians? Wait, what the fuck? There's one Iranian Yazidi in Russia. 52 Tajiks. Iranian Tajiks. That was 1926. Old census, go to the right. Where is the new census? Oh, that is an old one. Here. 2021 census. Look at the number of different ethnicities in Russia. Please. It's insane. Don't they like to tout Russia as a primarily white, primarily vague Christian and anti-LGBT? Factually, you are right. When Middle Americans think of Russians, you don't think of the multiple ethnicities. You think Ivan Drago. Yeah, but it doesn't change the reality that Russia is, due to the USSR, a gigantic fucking country with like an incredible amount of ethnicities within it. Yeah. %, according to the latest census, is ethnically Russian, which can mean a number of different things, but I guess they're like Slavs, right? They're Slavic. Are still pretty fucking diverse. America also incredibly diverse. 64% is white. And even within that whiteness, there's still Hispanic whites, for example, right? It's all white to me, brother. This guy sees like a fucking like a Tatar person, and it's just like, I mean, dude, look at this. Like, he just looks at the Tatar person and he's like, oh, that's white to me. You know, classic white guy. You know who's the most diverse Russian? You know who celebrates Russian diversity better than anyone else? Okay. Maybe some of you already figured it out, but clearly bears repeating here. This man. He's everything at the same time. Okay? He's been a Russian man for 25 years. Anyway, Russia is very diverse. I guess you're right when you say, like, Americans think Russia is not diverse. By the way, America is very diverse in comparison to a lot of other countries. I would say America is very diverse. 64% white. And even that whiteness is incredibly diverse in and of itself if you break it down through, like, ethnic backgrounds and nationalities, for the record. Okay? Segal is Jewish, Asian, Chinese, Mongolian, Russian. Anyway, let's continue.
It is vitally important for you to support.
You ever see the Bashkir Russian rapper Morgan Stern's ad for War Thunder, best advertisement song ever made? Bro, I can't show this. MHUD, this is both political and an ad. Pull up in the tank here. I love this. This might be the best video game, like, rap ad I've ever seen. Made only funnier by the fact that it's for War Thunder. War Thunder. This is a very different A-worded community, for the record. Like, I know a lot in this community loves, like, Hearts of Iron and, like, Paradox games and shit. Like, this is the other side of, like, the spectrum of gamers who like hyper-realistic milsims and shit. War Thunder is a racist side. Well, the other side, Paradox could be, Paradox is some racist stands too. This is a critique on war? No, man. That's fucking, it's an ad for the game War Thunder, chatters. Chatters see fucking Russian being spoken in an ad and go, oh, what the fuck's going on here?